The first night, I thought it was just a bad dream. The second night, someone finished my sentence. By the third night, the entire village was dreaming the same thing. And the worst part? No one here tries to wake up. I arrived just before sunset. The bus wasn't supposed to stop here. It wasn't even listed on the route. But something went wrong up ahead. An accident, a fallen tree. No clear answer. The driver sighed, stood up, and said we'd be waiting a while. That's when someone behind me said, "You can stay in the village." Not a village, the village. Like there wasn't another option. I stepped off the bus with 2 other passengers. They didn't say much, just nodded politely and walked in opposite directions, like they already knew where they were going. The village was quiet, not empty, just settled. Houses stood close together, old stone walls, low roofs, narrow lanes. No shops open, no music, no dogs barking. But there were people, sitting on porches, standing near doors, watching the evening cool down. They smiled when I passed, not curious, not suspicious, tired. I found a small guest house near the center, 1 floor, 3 rooms. A woman sat behind the desk, knitting. She looked up. "You'll be staying the night," she said. Not a question. I told her I might leave in the morning. She nodded. "Most people say that." My room was simple, clean, too clean. No photos on the walls, no decorations, just a bed, a chair, and a window facing the village. As night settled in, I noticed something strange. Lights went out at the same time, one by one, in order. Like the village followed a schedule it didn't need to discuss. I lay down early, not because I was tired, because there was nothing else to do. Sleep came quickly, too quickly. That's when the dream started. I was standing in a narrow lane, stone walls on both sides, a door at the end. Blue paint, chipped near the handle. I remember that clearly. The handle, scratched, as if someone had tried to open it too many times. I reached for it and woke up. Morning came quietly. No alarm, no birds, just light. Downstairs, the woman was already awake. She poured me tea without asking. "Did you sleep?" she asked. I nodded. She hesitated, then asked very casually, "Did you dream?" I paused. "Yeah," I said. "Why?" She smiled, not relieved, satisfied. "Good," she said. "Then you'll be fine today." Outside, the village was already awake. People moved slowly, calmly. As I walked past 2 men talking, I caught a sentence that stopped me. "Blue door," one of them said. The other nodded. "Yeah, the handle was scratched." They didn't notice me listening. They didn't lower their voices, because to them, there was nothing strange about it. That's when I understood something small and very important. Whatever had happened last night, it hadn't stayed in my head. The rest of the day passed quietly. Too quietly. Nothing strange happened. No warnings, no dramatic signs. People worked. They talked. They moved through the village like they always had. And that somehow made it worse. I walked through the lanes again. Same stone paths, same houses, same doors. That blue door from my dream wasn't there. At least, not where I expected it to be. I told myself it was just a dream, a coincidence, the mind filling in gaps. That explanation worked, until it didn't. In the afternoon, I stopped near a small courtyard. 3 people were talking. One of them laughed and said, "I still can't believe the cup fell that way." Another replied, "Yeah, right off the edge." The third nodded, "Just like last night." I slowed down. "What cup?" I asked. They all turned to look at me, not annoyed, not suspicious, confused. "Oh," one of them said, "just something we dreamed." Another added, "Nothing important." And just like that, they went back to their conversation, as if dreams were shared weather reports. That night, dinner was served in the guest house. Simple food, quiet room, 4 people eating. No one spoke much. Halfway through the meal, the woman from the desk looked at me. "You'll probably dream again tonight," she said. I waited for the rest of the sentence. It never came. I went to bed with the window slightly open. The village was silent, not asleep, just resting. The dream came slower this time. I was standing in a room, a small one, bare walls, a table in the center. On it sat a ceramic cup, white, cracked near the handle. I knew what was going to happen. That was the worst part. The cup slid, inched forward, then tipped. It hit the floor and shattered. The sound echoed longer than it should have. I woke up before the pieces stopped moving. Morning arrived the same way as before. Quiet, unannounced. Downstairs, someone was already cleaning. I followed the sound. In the corner of the room, a broken cup lay on the floor. White, cracked near the handle, shattered. Exactly. No one looked surprised. One man sighed and said, "Well, that confirms it." Confirms what? I wanted to ask. But no one seemed interested in explaining. Outside, the village felt slightly different. Not changed, aligned. People moved with more purpose, more care, like they were adjusting to something that had already happened. I stopped a woman near the well. "How many people dreamed that last night?" I asked. She thought for a moment. "Most of us," she said. "Not everyone remembers, though." That stuck with me. "Why?" I asked. She smiled gently. "Because remembering is the dangerous part." That evening, no one asked if I'd dream. They asked what I'd dream, and whether I'd remember it in the morning. As I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, I understood something unsettling. Dreams here weren't random. They were rehearsals. And the village wasn't afraid of nightmares. They were afraid of details. Just before sleep took me again, I heard someone whisper through the thin walls, "Try not to hold on this time." I never found out who said it. By the 3rd day, I stopped asking if something was wrong. I started asking how long it had been wrong. People avoided details. That was the first thing I noticed. They talked about dreams the way you talk about weather. General, vague, careful. No one described faces. No one mentioned names. No one repeated exact moments. They edited themselves without thinking. That morning, I tried an experiment. I asked 3 different people the same question. "What did you dream last night?" The answers were almost identical. Something normal, nothing important, just fragments. Fragments, like pieces they didn't want to fit together. Later, I sat near the well again. 2 women were whispering. One of them stopped mid-sentence when she saw me. The other gently shook her head. Not a warning, a reminder. I finally asked the question directly. What happens if someone remembers too much? The woman looked at me for a long moment. Then she said, "We don't let that happen anymore." That was the first rule. Dreams are shared, but details are dangerous. They explained it slowly, not because it was complicated, because it was old. Long ago, the dreams started naturally. No cause, no event. People would wake up and recognize moments they hadn't lived yet. At first, they were curious, then careful, then afraid. The second rule came from experience. If one person remembers a detail, the dream becomes stronger, sharper, more likely to repeat. If many people remember the same detail, it stops being a dream. That's why they never wrote anything down. No journals, no drawings, no descriptions. And anyone who tried was gently corrected, redirected, helped. I asked what happened to the ones who couldn't forget. No one answered right away. Finally, someone said, "They stopped sleeping." That night, I noticed something else. People weren't just avoiding details. They were changing the dreams. Small things. Someone would mention a harmless version. Another would agree. A third would laugh. The dangerous parts softened, rounded off, rewritten. I realized then what the village really did. They weren't victims. They were editors. By sharing the dreams, they diluted them. By forgetting details, they made them safe. Nightmares didn't disappear. They were made manageable. That's why outsiders were a problem. We noticed too much. We remembered too clearly. We didn't know what to forget. That evening, the woman from the guest house sat across from me. "You're holding on," she said gently. "To what?" I asked. She thought for a moment. "Meaning," she said. She told me the third rule, the most important one. The dream chooses someone to anchor itself, someone who remembers, someone who notices patterns, someone who connects things. "And if no one volunteers?" I asked. She didn't smile. "The dream doesn't ask." I went to bed early, not because I was tired, because I was afraid of what I might remember next. As sleep took me, I felt it again, that sense of rehearsal, of something being tested, prepared. Just before I drifted off, I heard a voice from somewhere nearby. Not loud, not urgent, almost kind. "Try to forget this one." By the fourth day, the village felt smaller. Not physically, mentally. Like there were fewer paths I was allowed to take without someone gently redirecting me. Not stopping me, guiding me. People watched me more now. Not closely, not obviously, just enough to notice when I lingered too long on a thought, or asked the wrong kind of question. That afternoon, the woman from the guest house finally took me somewhere new, a place no one had mentioned before. We walked past the houses, past the well, past the lanes that felt rehearsed, toward the edge of the village. There was an old building there, low, stone, partially collapsed. No sign, no lock. It looked abandoned, but the ground around it was worn smooth, like people still came here, often. "This used to be a school," she said. I asked what happened to it. She paused, then said, "It learned too much." Inside, the air felt different. Not colder, quieter. The kind of quiet that presses back when you breathe. She showed me a small room at the back, No furniture, no markings, just a circle scratched into the floor, worn down by time or use. "This is where it started," she said. "Not who, it." Long ago, she explained, there was a child in the village, a quiet one, the kind who listened more than they spoke. The child dreamed vividly, too vividly. At first, people thought it was imagination, until others began dreaming the same things. The village panicked then, for a short time. They tried to stop it. They failed. And when they couldn't stop it, they adapted. They stopped asking why the dreams were shared and focused on how to survive them. They learned patterns, what details made dreams repeat, what made them harmless, what made them real. The child grew older and tired. Eventually, the dreams didn't need the child anymore. The system remained. The village kept it running. I asked the question I'd been avoiding. What happens to the anchors? She didn't answer immediately. Then she said, "They help for a while." She explained it plainly. Anchors absorb the sharp edges. They hold the dangerous details long enough for the rest of the village to forget them. They remember so others don't have to. "And when they can't anymore?" I asked. She looked away. "They become part of the place," she said. That night, the dreams changed. They weren't chaotic. They were focused, like something had found its shape. I dreamed of the village itself, from above. Every house, every path, connected, breathing. I woke up knowing things I hadn't learned. Where people would walk, what they would say, what they would forget. In the morning, villagers spoke to me differently, carefully, respectfully, not afraid, relieved. One man said quietly, "You held it well last night." I didn't ask what it was. I was afraid I already knew. That afternoon, the woman returned to the school. She placed something on the floor. A notebook, blank. "This will help," she said, "when you're ready." I didn't touch it, not yet, because touching it felt like agreeing. That evening, as the village settled into its routine, I realized something I hadn't considered before. No one was trying to stop what was happening. They were trying to pass it on. That night, I didn't try to avoid sleep. Avoiding it felt pointless now. The village had already adjusted around me, like water finding a new shape. I lay on the bed, staring at the ceiling. For the first time since I arrived, I wasn't afraid of the dream. I was afraid of waking up without it. Sleep came gently. No rush, no pull, just a slow settling. This time, the dream wasn't a place. It was a process. I saw fragments, scenes without order. A cup falling, a door opening, a sentence left unfinished. Each one sharp, each one heavy. And then something new. Me, standing in the middle of it all, not observing, holding. I understood then what an anchor really was. Not someone chosen, someone who stayed. When I woke up, the village was already moving. Quiet, organized, but different. People didn't ask what I dreamed. They asked how I felt. "You don't look tired," someone said. They meant it as reassurance. I didn't feel reassured. I walked to the old school alone. No one followed. No one needed to. The notebook was still there, blank, patient. I sat on the floor, opened it. The first thing I wrote wasn't a dream. It was a rule. Details matter, and they need somewhere to go. As the day passed, I noticed changes, subtle ones. People spoke more freely, laughed longer, remembered less. The dreams still came, but they were softer, incomplete. By evening, I felt full, not tired, occupied, like something had moved in and rearranged the space. That night, someone new arrived. I saw them from a distance, standing at the edge of the village, looking around, confused. I felt the pull immediately, a pressure, a question forming. I didn't go to them. I didn't wave. I stayed where I was, because now I understood my role. Later, I wrote again. Not names, not faces, patterns, safe versions, edited truths. The village slept easily that night, for the first time since I arrived. In the morning, the woman from the guest house stood beside me. "You're doing well," she said. Not proud, relieved. I asked her one last question. "Do they ever leave?" She thought carefully. "Sometimes," she said, "but not the part that matters." I don't count days anymore. I don't track dreams. I don't think about before, because those details belong somewhere else now, with me. If you're listening to this and something in it feels familiar, that's normal. Dreams travel. They always have. Just remember one thing. If you find a place where everyone sleeps a little too well, pay attention. Someone there is already remembering for you.